Welcome to Silence the Podcast with Daisha Selena.
It's very surreal that I'm sitting in front of you telling my story because of the amount of people that have tried to scare me out of speaking on this, discourage me, silence me. It just gave me further confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't care to give a disclaimer because at the end of the day, this is my story. One. Two, I'm a future attorney, so I know not to say anything that's going to incriminate myself or get me sued for defamation of character. Anyone listening, especially the people that were involved in this entire fiasco, you can take it how you want it, but I'm going to tell the truth, my truth. So I'm going to start from the beginning. At the end of my 11th grade year of high school, one of the staff members that I was very close to, he looked me in my face and told me, listen, because I asked him, I said, how can I make sure that we have a senior trip? He looked me in my face and told me, you're going to have to plan it. So what did I do? I planned it. And let me just tell you my why, just to give context on why I took on such a big role and opportunity. My graduating class of 2024, was the COVID class. We entered high school during COVID. We were on Zoom our entire freshman year of high school. Black cameras, nobody showing their face. People are barely participating. The only people that are speaking are the teachers. The additional irregular experiences that we faced on top of that was ridiculous. For example, field day was a tradition where they would take us to this very known park and we would play games, sports, a lot of different things. Was field day the most fun and exciting task? No. But is it something that we looked forward to? Yes. And we weren't able to do it because of the wildfires in Montreal that turned the sky orange in New York. And it was hard to breathe, especially for people with respiratory illnesses. So they had to cancel field day. They had to cancel school. And we never got that time back. Even when we entered in 10th grade, it was irregular. People were wearing masks. We couldn't really sit next to each other. Couldn't really interact. We were entering our second year of high school as completely strangers. We didn't know each other. So that was my why. I did and I took on all the things I'm going to explain to you guys because I feel like my class deserved better. Not only from things that the school couldn't control, but things that the school could control. We worked so hard. About 40%, I would say, of my graduating class. Maybe that's a little too generous. I'm not really sure. But about 40% of my graduating class was always on honor roll. So it's like we're working hard. We're putting in this constant work day in and day out. But what is the reward for it? Yes, we're getting the grades. Yes, we're going to have a future or whatever the case may be. But can we get a break? For students in any school, if you're working hard to reduce the grades that you want for yourself, then I think you should see something for it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to school only for the grades or you're going to school for some type of reward or recognition. Because obviously we're in school because we have dreams, we have goals, we have things that we want to do. But at the end of the day, if there's no funding and we are constantly being told, oh, we can't go on a trip because we don't have any money. Or, oh, it's going to coincide with testing or your schedule. So, no, we can't go on a trip here. We deserve better. So what did I do? I planned this year and trip, and I took on that initiative because I know if I didn't do it and none of my other classmates at the time expressed interest or even thought about doing it, then it wasn't going to happen. So in between the summer of my junior and senior year, while I was studying abroad in Africa and while I was writing my supplements for college, I took on the task of planning this year and trip. How did I do it? I called a bunch of venues. I called a bunch of locations. I talked prices. I tried to negotiate prices. I found the bus company that was going to take us to and from. I got a quote from them. And this was not even peak because my social anxiety during COVID was terrible. But this was a very strong time where I was still making other people order for me at restaurants because of how terrified I was of human interaction and talking to other people. But I pushed myself out of my comfort zone to make sure that this trip happened because I genuinely believed, and I still believe, regardless of all the things I'm about to tell you guys, I still believe my class deserved it. So when we got back to school in September, August, I had a whole PowerPoint presentation planned out with the senior committee, another thing that I was leading. Each person in the senior committee did a presentation to each of the advisories on the different locations and the price, the dates, how much people could go, the busing. Like, I had all the information set up for everyone so that it could be easy. The only thing we would have to worry about was choosing a place. We paid for our teachers to get on the bus. Thankfully, the venue that we went to, the chaperones were free, but we paid for them to get on the bus. Yes, we paid for our teachers to come to our senior trip. And I did all of that because we deserved better than what our school had ever offered us. I'm not going to lie, it did take a toll on me. It was stressful. I will be an attorney, but I'm not yet. I don't know how to negotiate deals. I don't know how to negotiate prices, but I did it for the good of my class. Let me tell you something. I'm a planner at heart. I have a Google Calendar. I have a Notion, and I use Apple Notes actively. I can plan to save my life. I currently have bookmarked flights and a location for a trip that I want to go on someday, but it's all planned out. So I very much well could have got all of my friends together. We could have put our heads together and put our money together, and we could have went on our own trip. But I didn't want to do that because it wasn't about me. I didn't plan the trip, or I didn't want to go on a trip for my own enjoyment. Like I just told you, I thoroughly, honestly, and truthfully believed that my class deserved it. Leading senior committee, that was another role that was very time consuming and stressful. And it was stressful because of the feedback that I was receiving from my peers. Senior committee's goal was to plan all things senior related, whether it was the senior trip, whether it was prom, whether it was any senior trips that we took throughout the school year just to get a break from learning, the senior t-shirts, senior sweatshirt designs, community day, everything senior related. It was senior committee's job to do. Making the flyers, advertising, getting people to send in their money for the trip and for prom. That was all our job. And I like to describe myself as a natural leader because I have the mindset of if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. But we deserved for it to get done. So whether someone had to step up and take the initiative to lead, and if that someone had to be me, then I was willing to do it. But the backlash that I faced while taking on that role is something I never anticipated. When you have a presence and when people know that you're leading something, or you're not the face of something, but when people know that you're behind something or you're involved in something, any little thing that goes wrong, they're going to blame you for it. So yes, when we were sketching out senior special designs and the people didn't like it, I was getting the backlash for it. They were coming to me telling me, oh, this is ugly, or we don't like this. Okay. Did it irritate me? Yes, because I took 3 AP classes my senior year. That's 3 college level classes, and a 4th one that wasn't technically called an AP that they just tackled on for no reason out of nowhere, regardless of me already having all my math credits. So yes, I still had work to do. I was still a friend, a daughter, cousin, a sister. Like, I'm still playing all these roles in my life, and I'm still taking on this big role and this big task because I have faith that if someone just takes initiative, it's going to happen. Yeah, it cut deep a little bit because I'm doing this for you. You didn't ask me to. That's why I couldn't really say nothing, because no one looked at me and was like, yes, we're going to assign you this role. It just fell into place. Yes, when I'm sitting in meetings after meetings with the other people in senior committee, and we have plans and we have outlines and we're talking to administration and they're telling us, oh, no, we can't do this, or oh, we don't have the funding for that, or oh, you're going to have to raise the money yourself, knowing that we cannot afford to do that, or we don't have the time to do that, basically getting told no. Yeah, it was irritating. But who faced the backlash when we got told no? Not the other people on senior committee. It was me. I received the text. I saw the public backlash on social media when things went wrong for senior committee, for a class that I was trying to make sure got what we deserved, which was a fun senior year. Did it end up being fun throughout the year? I would say no. The most they took us to was a park, and I think a movie theater at one point. We had to raise a lot of the money. So yes, it was stressful. Did you guys know that I wasn't the only one in charge? There were other people on the team with me. So why was I receiving the shitty end of the stick? I could honestly never tell you. I was the one waking up to angry text messages, or oh, you guys said prom would be planned, or you guys said this was the amount for prom and now you guys are changing it. I didn't change it. I was fighting to keep it as cheap as possible. I was told we had to raise an overcharge by $30. It was not my fault. It wasn't something I thought was fair or just. It was what I was told I had to do. This senior committee is trash, or we didn't get to go on no fun trips. They don't know what they're doing. Why even have a role? I was in the meetings where we actually did have full-fledged trips planned out. We got told no over and over and over again. And even if it didn't have to do with money, we were still getting told no. Student council president. Being the president was another role I took on during my senior year. Why? For similar reasons. Because the people in my school deserved way more than what the school had to offer. Prior to the student council that I was a part of during the 2023-2024 school year, I didn't even know who was on student council the year before me. I knew the president. She was one of my good friends in dance class, but I didn't know who was leading. I didn't know what they were doing. I remember one event that they put on, and this is no shade to them because I 100% understand why. Being on the back end of things and seeing how things run and having to deal with this person and that one, and get approval from this and get approval of that, and being told no for this, and revising the plan and still getting told no and getting told this, and then it changes the next day. I fully understand why and how it was so hard to get things done in that school. With my leadership and the team I had working with me, we put on the school's highest grossing fundraiser in history of $800. Now, if you're listening to this and you went to a bigger high school and you guys were raising thousands of dollars, first of all, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I went to a small public high school in downtown Brooklyn. Funding for New York City public schools was just cut by the mayor. Did my school not have the funds? Truthfully, I cannot answer that, and I will not answer that. Putting on the first annual winter formal, that took a lot of time. Back and forth. Yes, you can do this. No, you can do that. That took a lot out of you. I was also receiving backlash when things went wrong for that. I was receiving backlash when things went wrong in senior committee. I was receiving backlash when things went wrong being the president. Every no I heard, they took it as me saying no and not me being told no. The entire school year, I'm working tirelessly and endlessly to plan events for the entire school, to plan events for the senior committee. Being told no is very discouraging and disheartening. It makes you not want to anymore, because it's like, if I'm being told no, then what am I doing this for? That's what it felt like a lot of the times. But I really had to remember my why. Mind you, I'm still a senior at this time. I'm still submitting college applications, writing thousands of supplementals. Obviously not thousands, I dragged it. But I applied to 30 plus schools. My supplemental Google document was 17 pages long of essays. I attend Yale right now. That wasn't easy. That application wasn't a breeze. I'm not a legacy student. I don't have mommy and papa's money. I don't have grandpappy's money. That took a lot of hard work. That took a lot of time. That took a lot of energy. And while I'm trying to get my future in line and make sure that I can start building my empire, and I can start building my network, and I could get to a school with a decent education and a name and make a name for myself, I'm still planning or trying to plan at least everything for the senior committee, everything for the student body, the entire school. And I'm throughout all of these months, I'm still receiving backlash when things go wrong. Fast forward to March, and this time period was nuts. I'm not even gonna lie. It was the week of Ivy Day releases. Now, if you're listening and you don't know what that is, it's basically, for whatever reason, all of the top schools in the nation, called the Ivy Leagues, they release who they're choosing to accept and who they're choosing to decline admission to, all on the same day at the same time. And it just happened to be 1 week in March. I will never forget the day, March 28th. Just for some context on the situation, in New York City public schools, for whatever reason, there's always one idiot from every school or group of idiots that choose to create something called the Shade Room. The Shade Room is basically a place of hate. It's a place where people can send anonymous tips or whatever you want to call it about drama, inside tea, through a Google form to this page on Instagram, and they repost it and they tag you so that everyone can see, basically humiliate you. When the page was first created, as the president, obviously my goal is to unify the schools, to unite the schools, to bring people together so the school can be a better place, not you trying to get to class and you walk down the stairs and there's people fighting. Not you walk in the building and you have to go through metal detectors because they treat you like a criminal, but our teachers don't have to go through them. They just walk right in because of incidents that keep happening within the school. So now you're missing 20 minutes of your first period class so people can pat you down. And God forbid you have a self-defense tool. People are constantly dying in the train stations, getting pushed into tracks, getting stabbed, getting shot, getting jumped. God forbid you have something that you're carrying to protect yourself. If they find it, you're cooked. So yes, that's the school environment that it was in. And I made it my mission as president of student council to try to move away from that environment. So when the shade room was first created, it went against everything I was trying to do for the school. So I got on it immediately. You could call it a snitch, you could call it whatever you want to call it. But yes, I told administration so they could know, like, hey, this is up. You guys should try to get ahead of it. Not because I was scared that I was going to end up on it, because I was scared of who was going to end up on it and what it would say. And I ended up being 100% correct. Teachers, the most disgusting thing was said about one of my teachers that I actually cared about. Things were said about students. It was ridiculous. Things were said about me. It was Monday after school, and I received a screenshot to my friend group chat. And in the screenshot was basically an anonymous tip on the shade room, spreading rumors about who I was having sexual intercourse with. Not only was it wrong, but it was disgusting because the way I just phrased it to you was not the way it was presented. On top of this, I'm literally applying to college. At this point, I'm waiting to hear back from schools. Do you really think I want my name on this public platform where people are making assumptions about who I'm having sex with or who I'm in a relationship with? It was mortifying. It was humiliating, especially in an environment where I was trying to make it better for the entire school year. And my advocacy and my involvement didn't start my senior year. You know, the incidents I just told you about, the overcriminalization, the policing of Black and brown students, metal detectors. Yeah, I participated in writing an op-ed that was on the news to advocate for my peers. People I didn't even know at the time. I was a fresh 10th grader, but it was wrong. And I stood up for it, and I spoke out about it, and it ended up on the news because that's the type of person I am. That's who I am. It's within me. Everyone says, oh, why are you always going so hard for people? Why are you always advocating? Why can't you just let things be? Because that's not who I am. I don't stand for silence or complacency or being complicit. I have a voice, and I will use my voice in every instance. I showed my administration the next day, actually. I sent them, and I told them what was said about me on the shade room. They looked me in my face and told me they could do nothing about it and that I was going to stay up. Why? They claim that New York City Police Department doesn't really do investigations out into the shade room pages unless basically I was suicidal and I wanted to kill myself and I was telling people that, or if they were making like threats about my safety. So I had to either threaten to take my own life or someone had to threaten my life on this public platform for them to take it serious and investigate. So me being me, I teach myself pretty much anything. This video being edited, I taught myself how to do it. This microphone, I figured out how to work it and I brought it myself. All the platforms or whatever platform you're listening on right now, I taught myself how to get my podcast on it. So I went home that night and I figured out how to find an IP address. Because I'm thinking, okay, if I find the IP address, that's easily something you could turn into the police and they could track it. My mom used to work for the New York Police Department, so I know exactly how it works. I stayed up for 3 hours that day. Mind you, this is all during Ivy Week. So I'm waiting to hear the biggest decision of my life. And I'm battling rumors spread online about me. And it wasn't like I had a lot of people in my corner ignoring it or not feeding into it. No, people in my actual grade were sending it around to their group chats and making a joke out of it, making a mockery out of it, and participating in smearing my reputation. For whatever reason, I don't know. And one thing you're going to learn about me on this podcast, I'm not someone that thinks I'm perfect. I'm not someone that's going to sit here and be scared of taking accountability when I feel like I did something wrong. throughout all the scrutiny and all the backlash I faced throughout my senior year, and especially this moment where people in my grade were laughing about the situation, spreading around the rumors that were on the shade room, sending it to their group chats and laughing, snickering, passing in the hallways when they saw me, I always went around asking people, what did I do? If I rubbed someone the wrong way, tell me. If I did something that made these people upset, I would like to know. Because for what I'm going through right now and all the hard work I put in for these people, my peers, I don't feel like I deserve what I'm being dished out. I found the IP address and I gave it to my school the next morning. This all happened in the span of 2 days. I gave them the IP address and they told me there's nothing we could do about it. Obviously, it was a rumor about who I was allegedly having sex with, and the individual that was involved in the rumor laughed at it. He didn't offer any words of support, any encouragement, nothing. And we weren't on speaking terms. We were on the best terms at that time. But he was laughing right with everyone else. So I just spent an entire school year of my life trying to make a change in the school, not only for my grade, but for the entire school. And with the blink of a shade room post, 2 actually, because my name was on there multiple times, all of that felt like for no reason. I remember my why, because we deserved more. But was it worth it? Fast forward later that week, and I was ready to crash out. And if you're not from New York, or if you're not hit with the young people lingo, crash out means risk it all. There was ways for me to track the IP address, but I had to make a decision with myself. Do I want to go this far? Because if I find out who is behind this page and who is behind, like, who, if I was to find out who sent this disgusting rumor to this page and it was a reason I even got posted, I'm just gonna let you know now it wasn't gonna be pretty. I probably wouldn't be at Yale right now, and that's not to like gas my head up. That's not to make me seem like a macho man. I'm being 100% serious. I don't have to sit here and lie to you. At this point, I didn't know what Ivies I got into, but I knew I had gotten to some top schools with 9%, 5%, 3% acceptance rates, with tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship money. If I fight or do something bad or illegal, and I'm 18, I'm grown now, so I'm going to jail. That's gonna go on my record. If it goes on my record, these schools can rescind their application. If they rescind their application, what will I do? I was sad. Yes, I had friends that were helping me get through the time, but at the end of the day, and if you watch the other podcasts that I was on, I said multiple times, I'm a woman of experience. I like connecting with people that have experienced the same exact things that I was going through. And at that time, I was going through it alone. I was at a very, very dark, very, very low point in my life. Then Ivy Day came along. Ivy Day was the most interesting day of my life. I didn't have faith that I would get to where I am right now. I had no faith. Anybody could tell you that. They would be like, Daisha, it's going to work out. You know, all the stupid mantras that they tell you is going to work out in your favor. You're going to end up where you're supposed to be. I was not trying to hear that. I did not get into my first choice school. I did not get a 4-year full ride scholarship that I was planning on it. And I felt like it wasn't, I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. But Ivy Day came and I got accepted into Yale. And that shifted my entire focus of what I saw my future to be, my outlook. At this point, I was not crashing out no more, because now it became real. Like, okay, I have an actual plan of how I'm getting out of this. I was still in a dark time, being cyber harassed on the internet and being told that there's nothing nobody could do about it, and I was just supposed to sit there and go to school every day and show up and still be normal when I had people saying these disgusting and gross things about me. But now I made it to Yale. That shifted my entire outlook on the situation. But I'm here to tell you that after I got into Yale, things were not peaches and cream. I was a valedictorian of my senior class. Now, they told me that I was a valedictorian for my junior year. My average for my entire 4 years, every single marking period throughout my high school career was a 95 or above, the highest average that you could get at that school. Never once did I not fall into the highest average bracket. And I was finally named valedictorian. But I wasn't able to achieve that goal in 8th grade. I came in 3rd. And I'm not gonna lie, I deserve to come in third because I was dealing with way too much. I was letting way too much, and I was letting outside things cloud my education and my future. I'll be the first one to tell you I did not deserve to be the valedictorian of my 8th grade class. The valedictorian, who was one of the smartest person that one of the most smartest people I've ever met in my entire life, and we're still cool to this day, still keep in touch to this day. She deserved that spot. And I was in tears because I felt like I failed myself. And from that point on, I told myself I will be the valedictorian of my high school class. And I kept that goal in the back of my mind, and it kept me driven the entire 4 years because I knew this is what I wanted to achieve. And I knew it was so close. I just had to keep on going. So when I was finally named the valedictorian, I was so excited and proud of myself, as you can imagine. And with every typical valedictorian in America, you're given a valedictorian speech. It's not something absurd. It's not something abnormal. I'm not going to make this a long story. They told me I couldn't speak. Regardless of all the things I just told you of how I tried to contribute to the school and make it a better place, they told me that I couldn't speak because it wasn't the school tradition. Literally asking for 2 minutes. The purpose of the speech that I wanted to give was to shed light on the people that got me to where I am today. Do I speak to any of them now? No. Do I keep in contact with any of them now? No. Do I wish to keep in contact with any of them now? No. Because they were all silent and they were all complacent while I was being silenced. Not being able to give a speech is more than just not getting recognition or an award, because I didn't get that either. At my graduation, they never even acknowledged the fact that I was the valedictorian. I didn't get any award. I didn't get any scholarships. In fact, they gave the awards to, and this is no shade to them because at the end of the day, they still deserved it. They were still deserving, but to the quiet students. And that's when I realized this world does not like a loud black woman. Not loud in terms of I'm yelling in your face every morning, but loud as in I'm not going to sit here and let injustice happen. I'm not going to sit here and let students get mistreated because you think you're powerful. So when I wasn't silent about not getting to speak as a valedictorian, they did not like that. Even my classmates were speaking up for me at the time, which I did not expect. I just told you I wasn't on the best terms with my senior class. Once again, the backlash, the public scrutiny I faced for an entire school year, I didn't expect people to rally for me. I didn't expect people to go to my principal's office and ask her why she's not letting me speak. I didn't expect them to interrupt a grade assembly and ask where's the valedictorian speech, to which my teachers, my 12th grade teachers that were teaching me an entire school year and got to know me and I thought I was close to, sit in my face and tell me, we don't do that here. They told me that the only way I could speak was if I auditioned to give a class speech. I'm not giving a class speech because it wouldn't have been sincere. It wouldn't have been real. I'm not going to speak and talk about a class that just treated me like shit for an entire school year. Obviously, it wasn't the whole class. It was a calm, I would say 60%, but there was the 40% who I actually were close to and truly cared about, that knew my heart, and they knew why I was doing what I was doing, and they knew my intention and my motivations for all of the initiatives I was trying to do. I accumulated over 22 extracurriculars and awards throughout my 4 years of high school. I feel like I deserve the speech. And I'm not about to dumb my speech down to a class speech, because a class speech is meant for the whole class. So if I got up there and I started talking about my personal experiences and my family that got me here, my teachers and the staff that pushed me to where I am, that wouldn't be a class speech. That would be a me speech. That would be a personal speech. I was simply asking for a personal speech to talk about and to think. The same people that didn't stand up for me, didn't say anything, and continued to silence me while I was going through what I was going through, I wanted to thank them for getting me to where I am today, for writing my letters of recommendation, for reading my essays, for being my teachers, to being a shoulder to cry on in their offices when I was going through a lot, to pulling me to the side and letting me know that things would be okay, for mentoring me. Adults that I truly saw real relationships with outside of the school. Not just, oh, you're my teacher and then it ends here. Like, no, I actually saw these people coming to visit me at Yale or me going back to visit them. I saw them attending my future wedding one day. I saw them attending my graduation at Yale and me doing the same for them. I thought I formed actual bonds, actual real connections. but I just couldn't understand why no one stood up for me when I was being wronged. I was being silenced, and they knew that, and no one said anything. No one came to my defense. No one tried to help. In fact, one of the teachers that I looked up to the most actually sent me a text. Because, yes, I did what any Gen Zer does when something doesn't go their way. I use my social media. Why? Because I have a voice and I have a platform on social media. Now, I'm not a content creator. I don't have tens of thousands of followers. But I have people that tune in. 48,000 impressions a week. If you know what that means, basically 48,000 viewers on my Instagram page per week. So yes, I made a post and I tagged them. I tagged my school and I tagged Yale because a girl that was going through something similar at another top school in the nation was also getting her speech taken away from her because of an international conflict that she made a public stance about. A speech is not tradition at my school, but yet the fact that I got into Yale was being flaunted all of their social medias and being used as a money magnet for fundraising and on their flyers for their nonprofit. I told you my intentions at the beginning of this podcast, so no one can ever look in my face and tell me, oh, you just did all that for recognition, because I would still do it again without getting the recognition and awards that I deserved, because I know my why. We spend 8 hours a day with people that are not our family, whether it's friends, people our age, peers, teachers, staff, administration. School is more than just about learning. And I made it my mission throughout my 4 years to make the building a better place. And I was successful at that in a lot of areas. I did make a difference, and I know I did. So the fact that I got to my graduation day and I got no valedictorian speech, on top of all of my teachers moving weird with me after I made my post, it was hurtful. It did hurt. And it hurt because I would have never expected in a million years for my graduation to turn out the way it did. Obviously, a graduation is supposed to be fun, supposed to be happy. I got into Yale University, one of the top schools in the nation, as a black woman. A full ride at that. I haven't paid a dime since I've been here. My graduation was the opportunity to celebrate that. Especially after the year I had. Yes, we ended up going on the senior trip. We had a great time. Obviously, things weren't perfect. It was my first class senior trip within the last 14 years or so that some staff told me in that school. Prom almost didn't happen. The week before prom, we were scrounging up money from wherever we could get it. People had their dresses, people had their hair, makeup booked, all of that, limousines, all of that. Who was on the front lines trying to figure out any way we can make money? Who was renegotiating and negotiating deals with the venue at the very last minute to try to make sure that we actually was able to have a prom? And to turn around and receive nothing. So yes, I had to mourn. I had to give myself time over that summer between senior year ending and me starting freshman year at Yale. Some people always try to make it seem like I'm not over the situation, or I'm bitter, or I'm angry. First of all, I'm not. Because even after not getting my speech, I still took 2 months of my time to make a guide for the students and the seniors currently there on the timeline, the ins and outs, Q&A, everything you need to know about applying for college. And I sent it to them all for free. People will come to me behind closed doors like, this is wrong, I'm sorry you're going through this. But when push came to shove, I had no one advocating for me. No one had my back. No adult had my back. No adult was grown enough to say, hey, are we serious right now? Like, are we actually going to strip her of this recognition that we all know she deserves? Because what? Pride? Ego? Power? A power trip? No one said that. I was looked at as a problem. I received messages saying, be careful what you post. You don't know who's watching. Or you're entitled. Or you need to get over it. Or that's not our tradition. Do you know how many traditions I brought to that school? But yet, me asking for a 2-minute speech to thank the people that got me to where I am. Parents, the same teachers, same friends. I couldn't get that. The reason that I pressed this issue and that I wouldn't let anyone silence me or tell me that I couldn't speak about this is because of the amount of people that have the same exact story. They gave their all to their high schools. They gave their all to the student body. They gave their all to their peers, all to be told that you can't speak. You can't share your poem, or we're not going to advertise that you're a valedictorian, or we're not going to advertise the schools that you got into. Students of color that are actively changing the world, and it's starting within their schools, and they're being silenced. I'm not going to go into the specifics of the races and whatever the case may be of my administration and my school, because I'm not about to make a claim that I can't 100% back up. But you and I can both assume the reasons. This is my why. If you're listening to this and you have a similar story, or if you're listening to this a year from now and you have a similar story, or if you're a senior right now and you have a similar story in 6 months, you're not alone.